Hey, hello, and welcome to Mindset Monday. And hey, the reason I'm doing this show every Monday is that, and the reason I'm calling it Mindset Monday is that for many of us, we have this mindset, which is a set of beliefs and everything that we've done in our life, and where we went to school and where we work, and the lessons, the books we read, our parents, our siblings, our friends, all those things mushed together create a mindset. And based on a specific event, it's an expectation that I have with my mindset or my belief system on how I expect you to behave and how I should behave. Now, I know I have a lot of clients and friends that kind of dread Mondays. It's just like, it's another grind day or starting the week, etc. So what I wanted to offer you was some ideas and thoughts that might be able to give you a different mindset that would help you during the course of the week, days, years, and etc. So that's what this is all about. So what I want to talk about when I do these every Monday is it's going to be about how to grow your business and how to grow your sales and how to grow yourself. And what I decided I would start with is that I want to talk to you about something that comes up quite a bit with my clients in my own research when I write my books and when I put my programs together. And what I've always been searching for and wanting to find out is what are the patterns of success? What distinguishes the very top performers from the mediocre performers to the low performers? As an example, in sales, why is it that if there's a sales force of whatever number, only 10% or less are the top people? I mean, are they selling something that's different? Do they have different collateral? Is it a different program? And of course, the answer is no. They're selling the same stuff as everybody else. Yet they're the only ones that are sitting in that top 10% percentile. And I do the same thing with leadership. If I walk in and talk to a CEO, I put up a bell curve, I draw a line down the middle and said, here's the average, and then here's your top, and here's your low. Again, it's somewhere between 10, maybe 20% sometimes that are sitting in this high area. So why is that? And that applies to the top quarterbacks, to the top parents. It goes on and on and on and on. So one of the attributes or patterns, and the patterns like flipping a coin and getting heads 5 times in a row. I mean, I don't have to flip it 10 more times to figure out that it's probably more than likely going to be heads. And one of those patterns is something that we talk about, which is having a positive attitude. And it came up over and over and over again when I'm asking this question of leaders: is what are the attributes of the most highly successful people in your organization, institution, corporation? And the same answer comes back. One of these patterns is, well, these people, this person has a positive attitude. It's the technical skills can get your foot in the door, but it's these interpersonal skills that is going to open doors. And one of those things is this thing around, having a positive attitude. So I said, okay, I bite. So how do you go about getting one of these things? Is it happy-go-lucky? How do you do it? So in my own unscientific research, I discovered that there was a pattern or a formula. I'm going to share this with you. And it's what I call the ABCs of success. Now, to get started, I want to share a story with you. And one morning, a CEO woke up and he was having breakfast with his wife, and he got into a terrible fight with her. And, it's one of those fights, and you may have had it yourself, where it's just one of these knockdown things, and they're really going at each other, and he gets ticked off, and he leaves and slams the door, and he gets in his car, and he squeals the tires, and he goes to his office, and on the way into his office, his assistant says good morning, and he grunts at her, and he goes in, he turns on his computer, and he looks at the sales figures, and he sees that they're down. So he calls in the vice president of sales and just begins to chew her butt out. It just really starts to get on her. So she goes back to her office and calls in the director of sales and chews him out. The director of sales goes back to his office and brings in his administrative assistant and begins to chew her out. And then about this time, the IT guy comes by and the administrative assistant chews his butt out. The IT guy goes home and he screams at his wife, he yells at his kids, and then he kicks the dog. So here's the question. Wouldn't it have been easier if the CEO had just kicked the dog? Well, here's the moral of that story, is that our attitude is like energy. It jumps on people. It just moves from person to person to person, and it just gets worse. So attitude's a real thing, and it affects the people around us and other folks. So when I talk to you about the ABCs of success, the first one is A for attitude. And attitude is an outward expression of an inward belief. It's an outward expression of an inward belief. And to give you an example of what I'm talking about here is that for those of you who know the Winnie the Pooh series and stories in the movie, and I'm sure most of you do, there's one character, Eeyore. Now, Eeyore has this attitude of, it'll never work. We've tried it before. I failed. I don't want to try again. You might know an Eeyore where you work. In fact, you could be one of them. And they have an attitude, right? It's an outward expression of an inward belief. They believe they can't do it, or they believe you can't try it. And it takes the energy right out of a meeting. You've been in those meetings where you're all excited about getting something done, and there's a new that says, we can't get this done. There's not enough money. It won't work. You have those folks. Now, when I talk about beliefs, is beliefs enable or disable my action. It's like having a socket and you're putting in that power cord, and you can either get the power to do it or you can pull it out and stop it. And when you think about these beliefs, about enabling and disabling the action, is if you have this belief, whatever it might be, that it cannot be accomplished, won't be accomplished. I was working with a client who wanted to write a book, says, I cannot write a book. I can't write a book. And I said, well, which one is it? Can't is made up of two words, can and not. So which one is it? Are you can or you not? It's like shouldn't. Is it should or not? Or won't? Is it will or not? So there's two words in these things, not one. So as we started to work through it, and I asked him more questions about, so what's getting in the way? I mean, you certainly could write a book. And it's overwhelming. It's so big. But then as I explored more, I said, okay, let's break down these barriers. And we broke it down to smaller pieces so we could get the book written, what he had to do. Because I've written 3 and I'm working on my 4th one right now. Actually, I'm working on 4th and 5th at the same time. And I told him the steps to take. And as we're going through it, there was still some resistance. So as we moved through it, and I said, so let me ask you this question. Imagine that the book is actually going to be published. What would get in the way? And what got in the way for him is that, I just don't think anybody's going to read it. The bottom line is, Rich, is that I just don't think I'm good enough to do this. So when we explored that a little further, we discovered that back in middle school, he had an English teacher, and his English teacher told him, you don't understand English, you don't write well, you're never going to be accomplished here. In fact, if you ever thought about ever writing an essay or a story, it's not going to happen. So forget if you ever wanted to write a book, because even back then he wanted to write a book. So he held on to this belief based on this authority figure who wasn't meaning any harm, was just passing it on, but we take that in. So he believed all this time, based on what was said, that wasn't going to happen. So he took this belief, this limiting or disabling belief that was disabling his action, and he actually used it to be much more powerful. Because here's what he told me. He says, I'm going to dedicate my book to that English teacher, and then I'm going to take my book to her and tell her what happened. So that idea about beliefs enabling and disabling is true. So it's a matter of just working through whatever those things might be and determine how you're going to get there. Now, the last one is C. So we've talked about A is the attitude is an outward expression of an inward belief, and belief is what disables or enables my actions. And C is for communication, and it's communication about what I tell myself what I can and cannot do. And when I ask an audience, in a workshop, and I ask you, how many people, show of hands, talk to themselves? And a lot of folks don't want to put their hands up. And then I ask the question, how many of you here believe that you don't talk to yourself, but the person next to you talks to yourself? And hands start to go up. And you get the gist. Is that we all talk to ourselves. It's no big. But here's the problem. We are our worst internal critic. I often refer to it as meeting the man inside of me or the woman inside of me type of thing for ladies. Is that there's this inner critic that's talking, and it has these voices about you'll never accomplish it, you'll never get it done, whatever those voices are. So here's the trick. Turn that voice into a cartoon character. Turn that voice into Donald Duck. It's pretty hard not to giggle or laugh or smirk or put a little smile on your face when you're hearing Donald Duck says you can't get it done, you're not good enough, whatever the case may be. So that's kind of just a short version here about the ABCs of success as I've been able to explore it and find it. It's about attitude, belief, and communication. Put those things together, and it really empowers you to get past these mindsets. Now, one of these mindsets is about taking a look at every morning about what you want to do. I'm going to give you one last idea here that you can use each and every day. And this comes from Steve Jobs, but Einstein. There's a number of people I've either researched, found, or discovered, or even some of the elders told me. And it's this: every morning when you get up and you're getting ready, look in the mirror and ask this question: if today was the last day of my life, if today was the last day I was going to be on this planet, is what I'm about to do today what I would want to do? I mean, that's pretty significant when you put it that way, isn't it? And if there's something that needs to change, maybe change one aspect of it. Or if it happens over a series of days, again, the pattern, then maybe it's time to take a look at, get some help, and make a change. And again, it's a way to change that mindset, like that CEO, when I first explained, that CEO that first came on. This is a way of being able to change your mindset for the good. Something that's going to be useful and helpful to you as you go through the course of your day. Now, I hope these thoughts and ideas that I've shared with you are helpful. If they are, drop a comment down there. I'd love to hear from you. I've got some other things I'll be sharing with you every week as I go through these things. But what I did want to tell you is that please subscribe, because what will happen is that I'm going to be doing these every Monday, but there are other times during the course of the week that something's going to pop up that I think that might be of value to you. So if you subscribe, then you'll get something that will tell you that I'm now on Facebook Live. That way you'll be able to come over and participate and get involved in whatever it is that I happen to be talking about. So as I get ready to sign off here, what I want to leave you with this is one thing. When you change your mindset, you will change your results. So have a great rest of the day, a great week, a great month, a great year, and a great life. And I will be seeing you soon in the next Facebook Live video. Talk soon.